Hello everyone, Freemantle here. Today, some miscellaneous thoughts about government as the liberal thinks of it, and my thinking about why he's wrong. At the turn into the 20th century, liberals known then and now as progressives wanted society to be run by experts. They argued that the complexity of modern life required it, and progressive government was the see to it. Now, if experts are going to be brought into the government, they must already be experts. So society would have the same expertise to call on whether they're inside or outside the government, and with or without the progressive program. Or turning the situation around, suppose experts on the inside were to leave their jobs. If the guys who build highways began receiving paychecks signed by a business instead of a government highway department, would they forget everything they know about how to build a road? Of course not. Programs run by experts and endorsed by progressive programs are not needed for society to benefit from the expertise, just the reverse. The progressive programs depend on the experts. Progressives today have never given up the vision of expert management of society. And one way this is reflected is in a role that a significant part of our law has today. Once upon a time, laws were directed at the citizen who was to obey them. Don't poach in the king's forest or you will be fined. From the late 20th century on, major legislation such as the government-run health care plan enacted in 2010 has not been directed so much to the private citizen as to other departments of the government. Its main function is to guide government officials. Still further along in the same direction is the Americans with Disabilities Act, passed in 1990, amended in 2008. It and laws and regulations like it set out what the lawmakers want to see, but typically they vaguely state how they apply, the means for applying them, or other elements of legal rights and responsibilities. The specific rights and responsibilities are going to be determined case by case, as it said. In other words, by further enactments or by construal by lawyers and judges. Laws like these codify lawmakers' intentions. So we have a progression here. Law directs the citizen. Law guides the government. Law expresses the intention of the lawmakers. In this progression, the government is becoming a standalone in society, pretty much as the turn of the century progressives wanted. The law has moved in this direction because the liberals' only significant conception of how a decent human society is organized has consistently been that it's run by a standalone central authority that's charged with doing exactly that is, with running society. Usually that's expressed in different words. People speak of it as being the government's job to solve local and national problems. But this it's going to do in the distinctive way a government, any government, does anything. By law, by regulation, by central authority. And the liberal believes that contemporary Americans have only two options for this authority. It's either going to be liberal government or it's going to be big business, rich people government. He conceives big business as producing what it wants to produce and foisting it on us, take it or else. Businesses don't operate that way. Not businesses as such, businesses on a free market, but our welfare state government does. To say that most of its laws and regulations are determined by direct input from the public is ridiculous. How much direct input do you have on the hours your post office is open or your state government tax rate? And we buy from a business as we decide to. But laws and government regulations are certainly not binding on us just at our discretion. But to the liberal, this does not mean that our government is authoritarian or tyrannical. In 2009, when liberals announced their plan for a government-run health care system, they were accused of wanting the government to take over U.S. health care. Liberals insisted the government would not be controlling health care under the plan. That was because when the liberals said government control, they had a very particular meaning in mind. In the liberals' view, it is not control when the government creates a situation in which rationally the best thing for you to do is exactly what the government wants you to do, even if the government created that situation to get you to do that very thing. It's the best thing to do, the rational thing, so you're not doing it because of the government, so the government isn't controlling. Nor is it control when the government allows you more than one option. If you can choose A or B and be on the right side of the law either way, the government isn't controlling your choice, even if it only allows you to choose between A or B and outlaws D and E. And most important, it is not government control in the liberal view when the government has the authority to step in at its discretion anytime, in any way, and direct explicitly, not even if it has the authority to direct everything. It's not doing that at the moment, so it's not controlling things at the moment. Furthermore, the liberal says our government is not tyrannical or authoritarian because we citizens play an important part in the political system. Actually, the liberal wants you to contribute 3 things. He wants 3 things from you. He'll settle for 2. He'd like to have 3. First, he wants to know what you want. What kind of welfare, government largesse, do you want? A bailout for your failing business? A protective tariff? A change in immigration laws to protect your union members? How about bigger Social Security checks? More money for the cancer research you want to do? The climate research you want to do? What do you want? Second, when the liberal government lays down a policy, plan, law to deliver the goodies, don't fight it. Go along. Yeah, you may be the loser this time, but there'll be a next time. And indeed, the bigger the government grows and sprawls, the more next times there are. And third, the liberal would like to have your gratitude for this arrangement. He may not get it if we prefer to live our lives our own way. In fact, we may not be willing to go along with him. What does he do then? Let's put ourselves in his shoes. If we're good liberals and people refuse to support our program or policy, what are we to do? We can do pretty much the same things we would do if we have to deal with people who don't go along because they're just too stupid to get it. I talk in other videos about the liberals' conception of the helpless individual. For one thing, we don't depend on willing cooperation. We don't necessarily get people to agree that our liberal policy or program is the best one. We can use other means to get them to go along, like the law. Another way of dealing with stupid people is to lead them. Liberal government is emphatically not simply to take marching orders from the people. The liberal's all for the people as long as they want what he wants. When they don't, he starts talking about leadership. A leader is the one who goes first. He takes the initiative, he exercises the discretion, he sizes up the situation and calls others, the followers, to action. In liberal politics, the leaders are the elected officials and their advisors in academia and business. They lead not only the mass of men, but also the institutions and traditions. They lead society. As Mr. Obama said shortly before the Democrats' plan for government-run health care was approved by Congress, the American people want to know it is still possible for Washington to look after their interests and their future. They are waiting for us to act. They are waiting for us to lead. And as long as I hold this office, I intend to provide that leadership. What is the name for a formal political arrangement in which one man is leading the nation? I don't have the word monarchy in mind. I can't top that for a takeaway from today's video. Thank you for listening.